Good morning, everyone. At this time, I'll call the Crow Wing County regular board meeting for June 24th, 2025 to order. If you'll stand and join us in the pledge and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this is the time for open forum. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on a subject other than what's on our agenda? Anyone that would like to speak on something other than our agenda? Anyone who would like to speak on anything other than our agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to number 2, which is the review and approve of the minutes from 6/10/25 for the regular county board meeting minutes and 6/16 County Board of Appeal and Equalization minutes. Motion by Commissioner Franzine.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Coring. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Not in favor, same sign. That motion passes. Number 4 is to review and approve today's agenda.
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple of deletions from today's agenda. Under the consent calendar, item 5.7 is being removed. And number 14, the closed meeting, that was listed in error. There is no closed meeting for today's session.
Motion to approve with changes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Franzine, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Not in favor, same sign. That motion passes. Thank you. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Commissioner Lee makes a motion to approve the consent agenda,
I will second that.
second by Commissioner Lubke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Not in favor, same sign. That motion passes. Thank you. Move on to number 6, MCIT report. Mr. Sieminski. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Nailed it. It doesn't happen too often. Is the mic on? Can you hear me okay? Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate you making time for me to come up and connect with Crow Wing County on the state of MCIT, so to speak, and talk about a relationship and some reminders about what we do and talk about some of the numbers we're working through. And again, I appreciate your valuable time. Wanted to start out by talking a little bit about what MCIT is, and some of this may be repetitious for the experienced commissioners, but MCIT in short, Minnesota Counties Intergovernmental Trust is in short your insurer. We provide claims handling and risk management for the county and payment of claims. We're not an insurance company. We make a distinction on that. MCIT is a joint powers entity, and we're formed by 81 of the 87 counties and approximately another 400 associated members, such as historical societies and ag societies and SWCDs and watershed districts. We do distinguish ourselves from the private insurance industry. We're not profit motivated, and we're not looking to gain market share, for instance. You're not going to see our ads on TV. We don't have to advertise, and there's no commissions to agents. You know, part of the mission statement is providing the services that we provide at a reasonable cost, taxpayer dollars. So we do the best we can to keep those costs within reason. So some of the other unique aspects of what we do is that we're providing coverages that are tailored to government operations. And the contributions that we collect are there to run a stable business and have enough to pay claims, and while still not over collecting, a very important aspect of our considerations. Our board of directors is made up of your peers, other commissioners, auditors, treasurers, administrator, and, you know, so they feel the same effects that you feel with their decisions, because it's coming back to them with their own counties when they're running their business for their counties. So another unique aspect. We also provide risk management services and loss control services, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. The next portion of the slide that we have here is what the commissioners can do to make a difference. And some of the things we like to encourage for the commissioners to help ensure the success of MCIT for everybody is learning how the coverages apply. And if there are questions on coverages before you make a final decision, don't hesitate to engage us and talk to us about any aspects of the coverages before you make decisions. Continuing to have your contracts reviewed by legal counsel and county attorney and sometimes from risk management at MCIT. Something that's on everybody's mind always is staying alert for cybersecurity threats, and this starts at the top, is supporting safety and risk management initiatives in general. Some of that encouraging the safety committee and their work, and programs such as returning injured employees to work. I won't go through all of the items on the list, and this list is not necessarily, keep in mind, not necessarily something you need to start doing, but to continue doing well. So on the next page, we're going to talk about reinsurance. And reinsurance, if you're not familiar with it, is the insurance for insurance companies, or in this case, the trust. It's what we purchase to help handle some of the larger losses that we run into, such as large events or lawsuits, and it helps to take the edge off of those claims and transfer that risk to the reinsurance industry in the private world. Part of the challenges that we're running into from a cost standpoint is that reinsurance is skyrocketing, and that's what this first graph kind of gives you some background on. Property and casualty have jumped, but property in particular has gone up dramatically, and we're going to keep talking about that here. From a reinsurance standpoint, the property has gone up 10% in a year's time, which is a huge jump. So what we're trying to do is consider different things we can do with our deductibles, or what we call retentions, to consider what we keep in-house for payments versus transferring on to the reinsurance carrier. So we have very large deductibles, or whatever name you want to put on it. We call it a retention, but we changed the casualty retention from $850,000 to $1 million per claim, and that actually saved a 21.5% jump. And another thing we did with the work comp retention is change it from $500,000 to $1 million, and that saved $470,000 in premiums for the reinsurance. So trying to take the edge off of the effect of those cost increases to our members. So the next panel is some of the meat on the bone as far as what's really causing these increases. I think everybody is aware that property values are skyrocketing. They're increasing at an increasing amount every year, and that's what this graph is showing, is just it's tailing upward as far as property values. It hasn't been plateauing at all. So with an increase in property values comes a corresponding increase in labor and material costs for repairing said properties. And aside from the natural inflation affecting the costs out there, and with reinsurance, all of these different directions coming at us for all these cost increases is something that we're really trying to work through, and trying to, again, take the edge off of some of those direct effects on the members. But that's our biggest challenge right now, is the cost of property. Your appraisals that MCIT does happen in 2023. So every 5 years, MCIT does an appraisal, gives you a value on your properties, and that will have a corresponding change to your contributions to MCIT. And so you're feeling that right now, without a doubt. The next panel, well, one thing I did skip over is the coverage enhancements. There is one positive on the property end, and that's that our equipment breakdown coverage did expand to include electronic circuitry impairment, purchasing additional protective equipment to prevent future losses, and costs for maintaining green designation on property. So that coverage has expanded to include additional coverage. So some positive in the property end of the coverages. The next panel has a discussion about rates, the contribution rates, and they're obviously in anticipation of the expenses that are to come. Property and liability is the blue bar on the upper right, the 11.2%. A lot of that increase is due to exactly what we're talking about with the cost of property. And the orange bar on the bottom with the work comp, that dramatic decrease that happened in 2023, that happened with the falling off or resolving of a lot of COVID-related claims. So, and that's coming back into more of a norm. The next section talks about dividends, and when actuarially approved and from a business standpoint sound, we return any dollars that we can to our members. This fluctuates with, markets and investments and the amount of claims that we have or don't have. This year it's based on work comp due to the issues with property. So this shows what the dividend is, solid number returned to the county. So we've been able to return dividends for approximately 30 years, and we're always trying to tweak it so there's less dividend in that it's less costs. And we're trying to get that happy medium where we have enough dollars to run a sound financial operation. And so the closer we can get on the dividends, the better. But if we do have extra, we're happy that we can return that. Any questions? I'm kind of moving fast with respect to time, so if you have questions, don't hesitate.
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Sure.
So, first question, it's only Minnesota,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
And then, I think you just answered, Mr. Chair, you just answered my next question. You invest the premiums in the market, I would assume, very conservatively.
Yes, that's, to simply put it, without really breaking it down, you have to have monies in reserve for payments. That's always a requirement of the operation in the insurance world in general, same with us. And then dollars other dollars that are held are invested so we can maximize any dollars versus just sitting without any return on them. That's an important part of the organization.
Mr. Chair, another question. So, you said like the reserves, do you determine what the reserves will be, or is there some agency that tells you what reserves you must have?
We do that internally, and it's on a claim-by-claim basis. And there is a whole set of minutiae I won't bore you with. But yes, we set that. And that's reviewed at multiple levels within our organization, and we also hire a neutral party to do our audits that double check all that. So yeah, we set those on a claim-by-claim basis and review it internally by the claim rep, the manager, the board, senior management, the board, and then the auditors. But it's reviewed quite heavily to have a proper reserve. If you're not reserving properly, that can get you into issues. And we've been pretty consistent, I would say really consistent at having a stable reserve.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I guess I kind of like that you're giving back dividends, but I think then I think about it and I think, well, why don't you just keep the dividend and invest that and have a larger nest egg, or is there too much of a nest egg to have at some point? You follow
That I would tell you that there is a happy balance on that, and again, that's more of there's a lot of details and considerations on that, And that's why we bring in actuarial staff, you know, that we hire to help us with a lot of that analysis. So the financial and actuarial. So yeah, it's a really astute question and consideration, and it's something that we put a lot of effort into. But yeah, we try to keep that happy balance where we obviously don't want to over collect on the front side. That would be bad for everybody in the trust. So we got to have that happy balance of having enough dollars to maintain, you know, that we're going to be here a long time and be a stable operation. That's a vital aspect of it, and then try to keep that to a minimum. But it's good news that isn't going into in the private world into somebody's pocket. It's getting returned to the constituents in the end. So, but great question. And
Mr. Chair, if I could ask one other question. So management, or I don't know exactly how to answer this or ask this question. So if you got $100, what percent of that $100 is it taking to manage and pay everybody to run MCIT?
couldn't tell you, to be honest with you, right off the bat.
Like, is it 6%? Is it 10%? 20%?
I don't have those numbers available to me right now, and there's different ways to get breakdowns on the percentage of what's left, what's used in the operations, what's towards investments, what's towards reserves. I know there's yearly financial statements that are put out, but you know, and that's things that we can provide more detail on if needed. Right in hand, I don't have those numbers.
No
I
problem.
apologize,
No,
but
thanks.
we could get more for you if you need.
No, all good. Thanks
Open
for
book
answering.
on that.
No, all good.
Great questions.
I know Commissioner Lubke's a numbers guy, and I was trying to
I do have a question, thank you. Mr. Chair, I don't know if you know this number or if Deb knows the number. What is our premium year to, I'm not asking for it right to the penny. I'll be okay if you're within $10 or so.
Are you talking about your overall contribution?
Our overall premium that the county pays, just to get a reference on how much do we levy, because that's tax dollars we're using, is our premium. And so the importance of making sure that we're doing all of our due diligence on our
Right.
end for exposure.
I don't have the number right in hand, to be honest with you. And I can get it for you.
Well, I thought maybe Deb had it off
Don't
the
know it
top.
off the top of my head either. I will find it out before the end of today's meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I definitely can get that to you. I didn't have that prepared for the report.
It's the number thing like Commissioner Coring was talking about. I kind of like numbers.
Yep, I do too, actually. And a lot of this, keep in mind, is that this is built around the concerns about the dollar. Inflation's affecting everybody in the world, affects us the same, affects your day-to-day decisions, and very valid question and concern, right? And a lot of this goes to, when we break down that number, what are the causes of the cost, what are the causes of increases in the cost, and we're hoping to provide some details to you that can help you go through those details to see what we can improve on and what we can help the members to improve on, hopefully. But it's a great question. I can get more for you pretty quickly.
Mr. Chair,
It's in a different folder.
Commissioner Lubke, for 2025, our property and casual premium is $818,000.
Yeah, so it's a substantial number on our, it isn't, a small number on our levy. This is a substantial number on our levy, so this is very important. So I wanted to make sure we were all aware of that.
I agree. Good question. Thank you very much. Moving on, we had basically presented a graph here for cyber losses, and that's the orange graph up here. If you look at the bottom line, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised that the number of claims in general is trending upward when it comes to cyber losses. You're going to see a peak here for the 1.7 million. And keep in mind, it's for the whole membership. Those are the cyber claims payments, and you see a gigantic drop. That's good news. I think that's a pat on the back for our members really doing what they can to nip it in the bud as far as stopping these claims from happening. And I would say somewhere in the area of 90% of your claims start with email in one way, shape, or form. whether it be misappropriated funds or ransomware. The drop in the graph is almost completely due to a drop in ransomware claims. So again, our counties and associated members they're doing a good job on trying to train their employees to not click on the wrong things, which is a huge part of the program. And they're beefing up their email security and their security in general. And so just wanted to present to you what we're working through and all the criminals that are out there trying to get the money. So any questions on that?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Koenig?
So on that question, do you, as kind of in essence our insurance company, do you require that your members do some kind of due diligence on that? For example, even the commissioners, all of us have to do a test every year so we know what phishing emails are and we know not to click onto something. Do you require that?
It's not required as part of an underwriting process, and that's part of the positive of what we provide for a coverage. If you go into the private world to get separate coverage beyond MCIT, it's usually going to cost you a lot of dollars in requirements before you're underwritten from the private world. We do not require that. And those tests that you're talking about are probably similar to the ones that humble me on a regular basis with clicking on the wrong things. And I've gotten better, but I always admit that I have room for improvement. And I think everybody's taking that attitude, but it's not a requirement. What that is my guess would be is your IT department doing a great job.
They are doing a great
Yeah.
job. Yes, sir.
Good question. Thank you. Moving on to the next slide. We're giving some information on work comp claims and the mod rate, which is, if you're not familiar with the mod rate, it's an experience and a formula for what you've experienced in claims based on your salaries and class codes for your employees. And 1.0 reflects the expected claim development or more of an average. Anything over 1.0 can reflect potential improvements or opportunities for improvements, I should say. Anything below 1.0 actually exceeds the average in a positive manner, and there's a cost that's associated with that, and this clarifies what the additional cost is from varying from 1.0. The next panel is just some background information for you on work comp and property liability averages for the year, and this puts perspective into payments for claims and the amount of claims. So just to draw attention to a couple of the bigger numbers on here. When it comes to the upper graph and workers' compensation, that's for sheriff and jail. There's a claims per year that exceeds the rest of them. Not necessarily a negative trend. It's just we basically understand that sheriff and jail is a tough job and it's 24/7, and that's what accounts for that higher number. With the auto on the lower graph, you see a higher number of claims, but the cost per claim isn't necessarily on the higher end in comparison to other losses. You're going to see a higher amount per claim also for law enforcement liability claims, which everybody knows is a tough environment that we're all working through. And that's just some background items for some of the numbers to give you an idea. With that last section, some of the things that MCIT provides that are included with your membership costs are knowledgeable consultations from risk management consultants like myself and loss control consultants. I know that Nick Lindberg is your loss control consultant, and I know that you work with him on safety committees and building inspections. Continue that, obviously. The programs and services, the employee assistance program is provided, and you have moderate utilization rates of 2.41 and 3.01. So you're pushing the program to help your employees through their issues in their private life and sometimes work too. The benchmark analytics is work with the sheriff's office on mitigating risks for the sheriff's office. Workplace Injury Hotline helps with reporting claims and triaging some of the mid-level claims that you're not sure where to go with on, when it comes to an injury. Not the serious injuries, obviously, those go straight to emergency, but this can help with some of the mid-level ones where you need to decide where to get somebody to take care of them. The Minnesota Safety Council is an important membership. There's a slew of information that's provided through them, and we include your membership with your fees. HSB, Hartford Steam Boiler, they provide pressure vessel inspections for the state-required inspections for dangerous pressure vessels, and they also handle our reinsurance for the equipment breakdown claims. So the resource-rich website, I'm going to try to sell this because it's free information at your fingertips, and I know that I'm going to see some heads nodding on this. This at all levels of the county has information for every single person, whether it be open meeting law for you or how to handle volunteer situations or auto coverages. There's a lot at your fingertips to keep you running efficiently so you don't have to make a call every time, and it has a lot of resources to review that you don't necessarily have to work through on a regular basis and you need reminders on, for instance. But I encourage you to get on the website and start bouncing around with different subject matter. Relevant training. We provide help with seminars and webinars, sometimes from us or from associated members, and we put out email blasts and the bulletin to remind you of some of those that are available to you. And so we provide speakers for on-site training. The Peace Officer accredited training online, Patrol. Solid number, 46 enrolled for the county. That's really good to see. And we also have defensive driver training through that Minnesota Safety Council membership. So those are some of the services that are provided in addition to just paying claims. Any questions? You've been engaging with some really good questions, and I appreciate that.
I do, yes. Actually, I usually wait for Commissioner Lubke and Commissioner Cornick to ask theirs, because I usually cover most of mine for me.
Get all
but
the chaff out of the way before the real
That's
big
right.
question comes, I know.
They only missed two questions, actually. Is your mod rate, does that follow with the regular private insurance guidelines? Is it kind of the same, or is it?
Well, I know that it's done in private world also, but there's a pretty complex equation with it, and including your experience rating, claims, number of claims, and amount paid, and then you have to basically you're rating that alongside how many employees, payment per employee based on that class code, and those class codes and similar functions happen in private world too. We don't line up with them and compare. It's just for our members, so.
That answers their question. And do you happen to know what our mod, what our mod rate is?
Yeah, it's actually on there, upper left. It is.
There it is, sorry, yep, I see it.
And there's an associated direct dollar cost too, that to consider with the mod rate too, so.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank
Any
you.
other questions? All right, well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the work you do and
Thank
trying
you.
to keep us safe and,
Yeah, I appreciate your time and keep engaging us.
all right.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome back anytime also to
Thank you.
give us further advice. Thank you.
Good day.
Mr. Pence.
Good morning. Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have two items for your consideration this morning. The first item for consideration is the preliminary plat of Hunter Lake Acres. This is for parcel number 95220590, which is located in section 22 of Wolford Township. The request is to approve a conventional design preliminary plat consisting of 7 lots. If you go to the map on page 25, this is you remember we had this before you at the meeting 2 weeks ago, and these are still the lots that are proposed, 1 through 7 here. This is Hunter Lake. It's a natural environment lake. All the requirements, the ordinance are met as far as lot size, for lot area, for lot width, septic locations, et cetera. The question that we had last meeting was about this easement down here and the access points. And you wanted to provide the applicant and the property owner to the south another couple weeks to try to work out what might be considerations for access. What I can tell you is that this plat meets the requirements of our ordinance, which means that it has access to a public road and either off of County Road 30 or that easement area as well. And so just as a reminder, the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this on May 15th and made a unanimous recommendation to the board to approve the preliminary plat of Hunter Lake Acres. There is the finding of fact that is in your packet that the Planning Commission developed for your consideration. And based on that, the recommendation from the Planning Commission from you this morning is the same as it was 2 weeks ago to approve the preliminary plat as it has been submitted. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Pence?
I do got a couple. Did we have any additional information that came in at all?
No, I have had
Okay.
no conversations, no.
And then one question for our county attorney. Staff was gonna look into some information. Was she able to find anything? I can't talk today.
I think I anticipate your question, Mr. Commissioner.
you.
I can take it from there if you want me to.
Please.
Ms. Shook, ACA Shook and I did have some conversations about this plat and in general, a platting process, a subdivision process, and generally when one person owns a piece of property and subdivides it and puts an easement across that property just in general, a person who owns a piece of property and wants to subdivide it, and in this instance, you've got an easement that's been granted in this property. I think it's to the north and south, correct, Chris?
The easement is this right here, Don. This is the easement down here.
I can't,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, don't get blinded.
Oh, wow. Burn a hole through the screen
That works a
now.
lot better.
There's easement to the south.
And so when the previous owner created that easement and sold the property on the, as I'm looking at it, would be the left-hand side to one group, and then ultimately the stuff on the right-hand side, again, as I'm looking at it, to the other group, that's a valid easement, and that's not something we would review as a county board. That's a civil issue if they're going to dispute if it's in the correct location, if it's going to be the width, whatever, screening, all those issues are issues, civil issues for the land development questions. The only requirement we have that I'm aware of, and Chris, please correct me if I'm wrong, because you know I'm not doing all of this work anymore. A number of years ago, Rosemary, you'll remember, and Paul, you'll remember this, we enacted a ordinance or a rule that these easements had to be 66 feet wide. That's still in place. So this easement, even though I understand it's being used or driven over, isn't developed 66 feet wide. It still has to be that way. So if there's ever a request for the county to take this over and maintain it as a public road, we don't have all those issues we had prior to putting that in place. If that answers your question.
It does, yep. And the only other thing I would comment is Mr. Pence and I had a chance to talk a little bit after the last meeting, and I learned that easement that we were concerned about actually goes either all the way up to these two new properties or possibly even onto those other two new properties. So that would mean there's even less of an issue, so unfortunately for these people here, so.
All right, is there anyone that would like to speak on this matter? Name and address, please.
Carrie Hoffman, 19460 County Road 30, Crosby, Minnesota. So I guess I'm concerned because you are approving him landlocking his own property, which essentially is forcing our hands. And so I don't understand and I understand this is a preliminary plat, but why hasn't the proposed driveways been removed, knowing full well that in the state of Minnesota they cannot put a driveway in with the easement agreement that we have. So essentially you're, again, opening Crow Wing County up to civil litigation because you guys are approving something that you're full aware of is not accessible at this time. So my request would be in the preliminary plat, the two proposed driveways be removed so that they're very aware, because even as selling the property, that piece of property is landlocked. I think it's number 1,
This one here?
correct.
Okay.
Rather than him putting in his own driveways to make sure that he's accessible to everything else on that piece of property.
Don?
The purpose of the easement, which benefits the lot number 1 that you're referencing, and burdens apparently your property on the other end of it, the owner, eventual owner of lot number 1 will be able to drive down that easement road and have a driveway off of it to access lot 1. It will not be landlocked under Minnesota law.
It's not in the state of Minnesota. The statute protects us. We have an easement agreement, which allows walk-in access. It doesn't allow drive-in. It doesn't allow them to cut down trees or put a driveway in the state of Minnesota.
I guess I'm not aware of that. It's only a walk-in access. Can you enlighten me on that, Chris?
The
not
county
aware of that either.
attorney that came on at the last meeting said that that was factual. Forgive me, I don't remember what her name was.
Stephanie Shook?
Yes.
That's not the same conversation I had with Ms. Shook, and Ms. Shook's right there. Stephanie, what can you enlighten me with? You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Barely.
Can't hear you.
Is that better?
No, can't hear you yet.
This happened the last time.
Have her dial in on her phone.
Is that any better? I'm gonna exit and then come back.
She's not able to get in. I could have her call my cell phone. And I
That's
could
what
put
that
it
would be,
next to the
yeah.
speaker.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Yes, no? That's better. No?
Steph, try turning your camera off. We know it's you. Sometimes that'll help with your mic.
Any luck with that?
There you go.
Look at you, Mr. Techie.
You are good. What a techie guy.
So, what I had
Yeah, this
indicated
is a little
last,
scary.
Something wrong in the world.
Mr. Chair, the information that it was ingress and egress. That doesn't indicate whether it's a walking path or a vehicle path. And it's not an easement agreement, it is an easement. An agreement would be different, which would be between the two parties. At this point, it is just an easement for ingress and egress. There's nothing specific that I recall indicating that is only walking path. It is, as I indicated, ingress and egress.
Okay, so hearing the attorneys, we have to take their advice. I feel that's in the best interest of the county, is to take their advice, and if you have additional information and you want to go to court under a civil hearing,
Sure.
that would be your option at this point, but we're going to, I believe, the board's position is to take the advice of our attorneys and move forward with this. So I can't give you any other
Okay.
information, I guess. Anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll bring it back. Stephanie, go ahead.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have the easement actually pulled up, if anybody wants me to read it. But it just says a 66-foot wide road easement over, under, and across, that said, and then it's the legal description.
Okay. Did you have
With
a
that
question
said,
for?
in the state of Minnesota, you have to have it worded, I, the landowner, allow this leaser to have access to put in driveways, cut down trees, mow the grass, whatever it is. It has to be in writing in the state of Minnesota.
Okay, well, we have the document that we have, and we're gonna.
Yep, and the
go with
document
that.
you have and the easement that you have will state that none of that has been allowed.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, I would look for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Lee to approve the preliminary plat of Hunter Lake Acres per findings of fact discussed on 5/15/2025. The application submitted, the staff report, and as shown on the certificate of survey received on 4/3/2025.
I will second that.
Second by Commissioner Lubke. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Not in favor, same sign. That motion passes. Thank you. 7.2.
Thank you,
Pence.
Mr. Chair. The second item we have today is for your considerations for the final plat of Battle Point Edition. This preliminary plat, the preliminary plat was approved on May 27th by the county board. All requirements have been met for the final plat application, and I would recommend approval as submitted. As a reminder, this is located in Section 11 of Bay Lake Township. It's a conventional plat with 3 lots, and was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission on May 15th of 2025. So we're looking for final approval of Battle Point Edition.
Questions? And I would look for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Commissioner Lee makes a motion to approve the final plat of Battle Point Edition.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Coring. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Not in favor, same sign. That motion passes.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Lupke.
I see we have Gary and Chris both here. Gary called me before the meeting started to inform me on some stuff we're doing at the county up on our Big Island, and I would, if it'd be okay, I'd like to have Gary speak to that.
Gary?
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Yeah, today we have our whole forestry department. All of our maintenance folks are environmental technicians that do the maintenance on our parks, and our supervisor in that area. They're all floated or boated over to the Big Island today, and they're going to spend all day running chainsaws, clearing debris, trying to open up a walking path on the Big Island from the tornado that happened last June. They had to create a new trail because the amount of this old growth forest that has been just devastated, and the size of the trees to try to get something in there, even if we could get an excavator over there, we don't think we could probably get it back to what it was. We're going to make a new route so that the island can be used again and at least enjoyed a little bit with a hiking path again. So a big effort that we're undertaking again with Big Island, and trying to really highlight the partnership that we have with the DNR and Ideal Township on keeping a real unique, somewhat unique park. You just don't have a lot of island parks in the state of Minnesota that are that size and in that kind of location like that. So just wanted to highlight what we're trying to do there, accomplish it.
Very good. Must have been quite a
It was.
devastating storm.
Yeah, and we're going to capture, we're going to get some more photos and we have some drone shots of the devastation. We're going to present this at NRACS to give you a better idea of what happened out there.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Lupke.
I serve on the Big Island Board up there, and it's a group of people that really value that, and they actually have a group of hosts, because you can camp on that island. And there are people that do camp on that island. I think Chris will even attest to that.
Yep.
And they have a group of people, volunteers, that literally come out. They live around the lake. They'll come out there and they'll check that island every day, make sure everything's looking good every day. It's not any of our staff doing that. It's all done volunteer. I think we give them a little bit of a stipend every year for either to Ideal or whatever to help with that. And those people up there take a very big pride in that island. And a lot of them are at an age right now where I don't know if they should be out there running chainsaws. So I really appreciate the fact that we're stepping up and using our staff to go out there and do that, because it is a gem out there. If you've ever been out there and walked the island, it's a beautiful walk all the way around, and right now it's not possible. So thank you for getting out there and doing that.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chris, thank you. Number 8, Highway Department. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. How are we doing today?
Good.
Good. I bring before you a budget amendment for Highway Department. This is pertaining to this TIP project 301-2506, Salt Brine Building for $379,000. What Highway Department is looking to do here is basically reallocate the funds and move a different direction from this Salt Brine Building. This project has basically been in the works of the CIP plan for about 4 years now, based off of the previous cost that we were trying to build this little building or shed for the brine building. It's come up with problems along the way where prices have increased. The stuff to build this little building has been discontinued, and moving forward with a building right now probably isn't a great use of the funds, and we're looking to move a different direction and utilize these funds in a different way and apply them to some other projects. What we're looking at is applying some funds to 2 projects that are currently in the pipeline for the CIP. One is for the 23 truck and one is for the 24 truck, those 2 year projects. And to update the equipment on those trucks to move into that more of the brine usage versus the actual salt usage. We're looking at moving forward that direction based off of the discussion and presentation that happened on June 3rd at the TAC meeting. With that discussion there, we're bringing forward this plan to utilize these funds in that direction. So we're looking at putting some money toward those 2 projects in the plan already, and then using some of the rest of the funds for updating other equipment that is already existing, and moving in that direction with about 5 trucks. We're looking at upgrading this equipment. And if there's any funds left over in this project, possibly some brine storage. Once we start getting more of this capacity in place, we'll need a little more storage moving forward before we get into this full plan of a brine building. That's a little bigger bear now. We're finding out that the costs have increased, and we're looking at taking a step back, taking a look at this and seeing how we can best utilize these funds. So we're looking for any discussion on it, if there is any.
Mr. Chair.
Question, Commissioner Coring.
So, probably, I guess if I was listening online or I was sitting in the audience, I'd say brine. People probably don't know what brine is.
Yep.
You probably think watermelon brine or something like that. So could you just explain just what you're talking about with brine?
Yep, certainly.
Thank you.
So our current process of how we typically do a snowstorm at this point is we utilize our trucks, tandem trucks, with a good amount of salt in the box. We load them up with I think it's about 8 ton that we put on each truck. Our capacity of salt brine at this point that we're currently utilizing is about 200 gallons per truckload, this 8 tons. So basically all we're doing is we're splashing a little salt brine. Salt brine it's water salt mixture to a certain percentage that will get salt to start the activation process to melt. I think it's about 22%, I think it gets down to. With this activation, all we're trying to do is put a little brine onto the salt, let it attach to the road and start its melting process. What we're looking to do is actually moving in the direction of more salt brine on the trucks. We'll go from 200 gallons capacity up to about 800 to 1,000 gallons capacity. That'll help actually produce a slurry in the salt auger. It'll produce this slurry mixture, which will give us a better component to start melting the ice faster in the snow. Should give us a better rate of return. Basically, we should start seeing results of everything melting sooner and faster than what we currently are doing now. So the salt brine, we have to produce this, and we typically right now we have the capacity to produce 600 gallons at a time. moving to 800 gallons on one truck. We're going to need more capacity as far as a storage system. So that's where we're looking at is storing some brine, getting more on the roads as far as the brine usage itself.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, so then when the highway department or the state sees that a big storm is on the way and they pre-treat,
Yep.
That would be that they're putting down brine, I would guess?
Yes. Yes, that is
And
the
if they
the
see them
salt brine mixture.
spraying brine.
Yep, we go out and pre-treat that, yes.
And Mr. Chair, the county board did have a meeting and we had a long discussion about this. So, and I can't remember off the top of my head, we could realize a huge savings in buying salt. If we're using brine, we could, I think it was was it 30% or 40%? That possibly if we went more to using brine. And I know that there's a lot of people that are concerned about the environment and a lot of this salt getting washed into the rivers and whatnot all, and this would actually direct it more to stay on the road. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Our goal is probably about that 15% right now to start. Could we see 30%? Possibly we couldn't,
Okay.
down the road. Once we get everything dialed in and really start moving this direction, we can see a lot more that percentage go up, which would actually, in the end result, a huge savings in salt cost, brine cost, all that stuff. So, yep, definitely.
Other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. With the chloride, I was involved in a couple of the watershed plans, and we talked a lot about the chlorides being on roads, whether it be in the time of winter or whether it be with dust control. The whole brine thing is such a great thing because of the fact as alluded to by Commissioner Coring, it puts it where it needs to be,
Yes.
and it'll stay where it needs to work. Because if you've ever followed plow trucks in the past, you'd watch the salt just bounce off in the ditch, and it doesn't do any good.
Yes.
And chloride is a cumulative product in the environment. It isn't taken up by any plants, so it just slowly over years will raise the salinity of some of the water in our lakes and our swamps and stuff like that. So
Yes.
it is a very, very important thing. And the only thing that is a little different in this is it looks like we won't be using the rock salt we've been using. We'll be using somewhat of a modified salt, which will raise the cost of that a little bit. But we should see some savings in the amount we put down. So
Yes.
anything you could add to that at all?
Well, currently, right now, we are tracking how much tonnage we are putting out, how much actual salt rock we're putting down, how much brine we're putting down. We currently, I don't believe we're reporting that to the state of Minnesota, but that will probably be coming down the road for us. And we're already currently tracking that to see how much we're putting down. Plus, I believe our guys were saying that they're currently working with Land Services, watching that, how much increase that is coming to our lakes in the watersheds. If that's increasing, how much that's increasing, and they're keeping an eye on that. So we're currently got our steps in place in what we're doing, and trying to track that and make sure that we're diligent in the environment and how we're doing things. So it definitely, we're watching it, yes.
There have been a lot of people who have talked about, well, there must be another product out there, and they've talked about different products, and it sounds all good, but a lot of those products are 4 or 5 times the cost,
Yes.
number one, and they have their other characters. We know what salt will do. If you use a beet juice or some other type of modified product, they don't realize how much phosphorus is in that,
Right.
which is the same thing. So your salt is still the most effective, the most economical way of doing it. It's how it's applied and in what form it's applied. I think that we need to be really focused on. So
It
thank
is,
you.
yes.
Thank you for that.
Yep, thank you. Any other questions?
That didn't spur another question, did it, Commissioner Coring?
No, it did not.
I thought I had you pretty well nailed down there.
I was going to say emotion, but no, not a motion. Mr. Chair, I would so move the request for board action from the Highway Department on the CIP Project 3012506.
Commissioner Coring makes a motion to approve,
Second.
second by Commissioner Franzine. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Not in favor, same sign. That motion passes. Thank you, Joe.
Yep, thank you, Commissioners.
No, you two covered it.
Ms. Fisher.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm here today with a labor agreement with Law Enforcement Local number 16, representing approximately 49 of our correctional officers. The tentative agreement includes the market-aligned pay plan with the range increase of 2.5% for 2025 and a 3% range increase for 2026. This group is on our county insurance plans, and some of the key recognitions for the tentative agreement include adding Juneteenth as a paid holiday, adding life partner to the bereavement leave language, using the full PTO accrual table at the time of hire, which is a recruitment tool for us. If we're hiring experienced individuals, we can start them at a higher accrual for PTO. Updating the PTO language to be in compliance with the new employee sick and safe time Minnesota statute. The cash in lieu of PTO from 40 hours to 60 hours. Increasing the health care savings plan from $25 a month to $30 per month. The deferred compensation match of $50 per month for 2026. And in 2025, it's $100 per month for the remainder of this year, and then goes to the $50 per month. Increasing training pay to $2 per hour, and the shift diff from 70 cents to $1 per hour from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and also for all hours worked on Saturday and Sunday. They have some special assignments within the jail, and we're going to be adding court officer to the language for the special assignments. Adding ESST severe weather exception, and a 50-50 premium split for the new Minnesota paid leave law that's going to be effective January 1st of 2026. And we're continuing to do some language cleanup. We always find some little typos and stuff in there, so we're continuing to clean those things up, including the drug and alcohol testing to include cannabis in that policy as well. And we did settle on a 2-year contract. Typically we do 3 years, but with a 2-year, this brought them in alignment with our other group. So we'll have 4 1 year and then 6 the other year, and we'll have an off year where we don't have any contracts to settle. For the wage settlement piece of it, in 2025, it'll be a 2% additional movement within the range, in addition to the performance-based pay adjustments. And then on July 1st, an additional 2.5% movement not to exceed the maximum of the pay grade. And then in 2026, the performance-based pay matrix will be 5-4-3-3, depending where they fall within the range will be their wage adjustment. If there aren't any questions, I'm looking for a motion to authorize entering into an agreement between Crow Wing County and LELS Local 16, effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2026, and the chair, HR manager, county sheriff, and county administrator are authorized to sign said agreement.
Questions? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Commissioner Lee makes a motion to approve the labor agreement.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Coring. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Not in favor, same sign. That motion passes. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
County Sheriff. Lots of updates today.
Oh, yes. Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. Not a whole lot for you this week. We've had a busy this last weekend was obviously very busy. Every weekend is very busy, actually. There's always something going on. We had the Cuyuna Bike Fest. We had Emily Days. We had monster trucks down at the fairground. We had races out at BIR. So there's always something going on and always keeping us busy. But with that, I'll take any questions if you have any or any concerns.
Questions?
Compliments?
Mr. Chair, just a question on the, I guess I call them tornado sirens, and I think sometimes people think that the tornado sirens are literally just for tornadoes. Can you just address that? I don't think they're just for tornadoes. If there's some bad weather coming
That's
in,
correct.
straight line winds or whatever have you, there's a possibility that those sirens could go off, right?
That's right. Any severe weather that we have that's coming through the area where we think there's going to be a significant event to our community, we set those sirens off in that community. We had a little bit of a glitch here that we're still trying to figure out and work on, and figure out why they didn't activate when we had set them off, and then they went off at a different time. And I'm not really sure. I don't have a good answer for you, but we are working on it even today as we speak. So
that brings up another question. So can you just explain, I remember, Don will remember Jim Rebell, and I thought Jim Rebell used to be the one that he'd go down and he'd turn them on if it need be. I thought it was him, but where are they turned on? Like, I know that down by Platte Lake in Crow Wing County, I think there's one down there. Do you turn those on from the?
right from our dispatch, we set off tones on them.
I wouldn't spend much time talking about how you deal with emergency management things, because that would not be public data, and you wouldn't want someone to figure out how to hack in.
Sure. Yeah, we take care of it, though, from our end.
Okay. There was just a lot of emails, Don, going back and forth why something wasn't turned on, and I think that there was some questions in the public of why these sirens didn't go off. And I know that I've talked to people before that want a siren, and I'm just trying to explain how they work. And anyway,
Yeah.
I was just trying to help my constituents.
If I may, Mr. Chair, and I'm sorry, Sheriff, I'm not trying to hijack your time, but how the systems work are one thing, but where you turn them on and off and access, those are the types of things I think we need to be leery about. And we just had the MCIT person here telling us we had to worry about cybercrime, and all systems are vulnerable to some extent. I'm just being cautious, Commissioner. But I appreciate what you're trying to do, and Sheriff, if you have generic information that you can share, I mean, you're elected, you get to do what you want. I
Right.
understand that. I just
No
give you
worries.
advice, so.
I guess I was, Don, Mr. Chair, I was just wondering, I saw that Duluth in one of these emails, and I'm just concerned that if it's being turned on in Duluth, that doesn't make sense to me, and so I want to just make sure that we have control of our own equipment here.
Yeah, we take care of all the equipment. We have actually a couple different folks that take care of it, that we're going to remove those folks and then have one person taking care of all the sirens, because we got different cities, different townships that are taking care of them, and it's not very consistent. So we're working on that.
All right. Other questions?
Not really a question as much as a shout out to our emergency management, Claytonburg. Since the last couple storms kind of were up in the district I serve, I just sent out a note, says how's it going, what's going on. Very good at giving me, feedback and stuff like that. And I know there was the last one kind of hit Emily in that area a little bit, and I just really appreciate his. I don't know if we could find anybody better doing that job
Absolutely
right now,
not.
because he's very
Very thorough.
very thorough. Yes.
Over communicates, which is perfect.
And communicates well. So
Yes.
I just wanted to give him a shout out, because it's through the last couple storms, it's been really nice to have him there. So
I sure appreciate that feedback, and I will share that with him.
that's all I had.
All right, if there's no
All
other
right,
questions.
thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. County Attorney.
I didn't bring anything today, Mr. Chairman, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that someone may have of me.
Questions for the County Attorney? I'll excuse you before they think of one.
Thank you.
County Administrator.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, yesterday we held our senior management team meeting, and we talked a little bit about our performance management tool, what works well with it, what doesn't, what changes or adjustments might need to be seen with regard to that. Part of our whole conversation around how we are communicating with our employees around the performance expectations and goals and objectives. We also talked a little bit about our data retention policy as it pertains to email. I was joking with someone the other day that when we used to talk about data retention, it was a Saturday exercise that took all day, where you went through the filing cabinets, and the papers that were general correspondence that had been in there for the last year got put in a box to be retentioned, and things that had to be kept were kept. It's not as easy an exercise anymore when you're not dealing with paper in a file cabinet. So we had some discussion around what's the right timing with our email data retention that we're still continuing to look at there. And then we started discussion on our 2026 budget from the standpoint that our departments finalized their entry of their data last Friday for that budget, and now they are working to, the finance department is working to come up with an analysis to give you all the first look of what that is going to look like. So we had some discussion around that, of any changes or additions that folks want to make to that budget before it comes before you in July. That's all I have for you today, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Question for the administrator? All right, we'll move on to additional business.
Mr. Chair, I got a
Mr.
couple
Coring?
additional businesses. First of all, I want to just, the county engineer's here, I want to just thank him and his staff, not only for the roads that are being done in my area, which and I want to thank the county board members for spending nearly $6 million in District 1, because County Road 2 from State Highway 25 over to Mille Lacs Lake is completed, and I traveled it just the other day, and it's smooth, baby, and I'm telling you what, now the next thing I know we're going to hear that people are traveling too fast, and I already did hear that. They said they're going by there 80 miles an hour. So thanks for that. They're working now on County Road 144, I believe it is. A lot of work going to be done there, and I sure appreciate that. My brother lives up on North Long Lake, so I went and visited him the other day right after that storm, and I got to tell you, I was really impressed with our county highway staff. Is it 127, just north of Merrifield? They were on 127, and I'm telling you what, there was some big trees down, and they had the whole crew there. There was trucks and bobcats and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, I know some people say, well, why am I paying property? That's why you're paying property taxes, right there. These guys were out there in the middle of the night, and they were there during the day clearing these trees, and I really appreciate that. Moving on to my next subject, tonight at 5 o'clock, the county engineer, the county administrator, myself, we're having a joint meeting with Fort Ripley and St. Matthias Township. As I reported to the board before, I'm trying to be the coordinator and helper of trying to get the bridge removed and replaced on North Coring Road. And so we're going to have a discussion there, emailed all the legislators. Not sure, I haven't heard back if any's going to show up, but I do know that I did get a call from actually Washington, D.C., from Congressman Stauber's assistant chief of staff, and said that they would be sending a staff person, because I did put a request into them if there was any possibility of any funding for that. And our county administrator, I asked Deb to present the same packet to our legislators back when you went down to the Capitol, and Deb did that. I appreciate that very much. But having a meeting tonight, Renee, at 5 o'clock at Fort Ripley Town Hall. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, is that meeting going to be recorded at all, or could any of us go down there if we wanted to hear how that's done?
Yeah, it's a public meeting.
Okay.
And it's an official meeting because how would it be?
It is not a published public meeting for the board. It's not a county board meeting. It's a township board meeting. It's a joint meeting between the two townships. So
We wouldn't.
more than 3 of you cannot, or no more than 2 of you cannot be at that meeting.
Okay,
You
okay.
can come if nobody else comes.
Well, and I'll have to look at my schedule. I have another thing going on in Brainerd this afternoon too, so I would like to go to just to see how that all works with a bridge, because I'm sure we're gonna,
Absolutely.
we have bridges in all of our districts,
Yeah.
so, okay, thank you.
And if no one else has anything, I certainly have some items for everybody to consider. July 1st is National Postal Worker Day, and I think in our area, and I'll only speak to that, we get great service out of these individuals who deliver our mail. I think of times when we've had elections and the efforts they put forward, and I think we should not forget about them and the work that they do. I see them some days, they come to my house after 5 o'clock in the evening trying to get the mail out. And I know there's a worker shortage, so I know that the ones that are working are being asked to do double duty sometimes, and I just want us to remember them as they work through their schedules. We have July 4th coming up for the sheriff. We just want to add a little pressure onto your day. And so we should remember that, you know, our emergency people that will be out and keeping us all safe during that holiday. And then Commissioner Coring, for you, July 8th is coming, and that's Hug a Cow Day. So you should get out and hug a cow that
I'm out
day.
of the cow business, I can tell you that. Don't tell any secrets, because I don't want Don to jump on me about anything, any secrets.
And with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Coring.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lubke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Not so much in favor, same sign. That motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Quick question. I've been doing some, with this cannabis thing coming on there, with the ordinances. I've been checking because for some reason,